when people talk about prohibition, this doesn't sever the human connection with drugs, it just takes some drugs off the menu and then other drugs come along. Chocolate was prohibited in Spain, except to Jesuits were the only ones allowed. Tobacco was prohibited in Russia. Usually when these things start, often they make governments or politicians nervous and they ban them, and then when people carry on using them, then they go, okay, we'll just put a tax on it and regulate. Tea is another drug, of course, it's psychoactive. Here in Britain we became addicted to it, but we had to buy it from China, and we didn't have anything the Chinese wanted, so we had to buy it with silver, so it was very expensive. And they started to produce opium and to sell it into China in exchange for tea. Opium was illegal in China. East India Company sold that opium to independent traders, and the independent traders smuggled it in. So the British Empire then, the East India Company, was behaving like the cartels today. I think the Opium War was just using opium as an economic weapon. There's poverty and starvation in China. Chinese workers go to San Francisco to build the railway. They come here to London in the docks, you know, and then that's when you start to see the fear that a Chinese opium culture might infect British or American or Western populations. President Nixon first said, war on drugs, you know, #1 danger facing our country. This is really felt that this was an existential threat to Western culture. 60 years later now, we see, well, Western culture is changing very much. It's becoming more multicultural, but it's possible that these drugs are part of that. They're part of our culture now, and not an enemy from outside. Amphetamines were used very widely in the Second World War by all sides. The Nazis used them, the British used them, the Americans used them. This is something that is always part of the human experience from the beginning. But then as we separated into many different cultures, it took many, many different forms.